video was a two-parter! I was going to make this video just a top 10 on its own, but then there are so many goddamn PS1 soundtracks I wanted to add that I did make it a top 20. So you can go straight to the top 20 to 11 PS1 soundtracks by clicking on my face or going into the very, very, very top link of the description. And with that very awkward silence, let's go! Ah yes, my favourite PS1 game ever made. What is your soundtrack doing so moderately high on my list? Well, because as much as I love the soundtrack, it is a little bit messy. A little bit overly hyperactive in some parts when it really doesn't need it, and the quality of the music itself isn't perfect, and most of the tracks are really just short loops. But are they good loops?
You bet your ass.
Just like any great adventure platformer soundtrack, the way that the music captures the essence of adventure and progression through the story is superb, and the pieces, like the story, start off bouncy and incredibly catchy, but then get gradually darker and more ominous the more you begin to uncover in the story. And yet despite that, they still manage to maintain the cartoony, catchy excellence expressed through the whole game itself, no matter what the situation you run into is. If you listen to this soundtrack anytime soon, you just try getting it out of your head. Number 9 belongs to Rayman 2. Wow, I'm only working in twos by the seams, aren't I? There are far too many songs on this soundtrack that I could have used for a preview, and picking that even within itself was near impossible. Even though I find this game too fucking easy in itself, this is one of the longest, well-constructed, atmospheric, and adventurous soundtracks on the PS1. Pretty much of all time. It's so good that it actually explains the Rayman 2 story completely on its own merits. The songs play such an integral part of the areas and the horrifically dark atmosphere that in certain points it becomes more threatening than the enemies trying to kill you, while in other points it's incredibly funky, wide-eyed, and encouraging to remind you that you are the badass limbless hero saving the planet. And this is all accomplished without uncomfortably jerking or shifting through these tones with the lovely orchestration that it has. And for a 3D platformer that succeeded something as harmful as this, the lengths that this soundtrack goes to tell you how serious it is undeniable. It wants you to know that this isn't kid stuff anymore, and it really works. I am so sorry, Rayman 1, but you know, one game per franchise, and I do think that your little brother has the better soundtrack. I'm so sorry. But you do have some very good music as well, like the band one. The band one. The band one was really good. And it's got musical things in the stage, so obviously it's gonna be good. It's a band one. Number 8 goes to probably the most experimental and complex soundtrack on this list, Silent Hill. If there was ever a video game soundtrack that sounded like it wanted to leap out of the TV and kill you, this is it. Not only do the industrial, heavy, and gratingly horrific, life-threatening pieces truly accentuate the unbearably harsh art styles and themes in the game, but even the slower and proper instrumental guitar pieces serve to heighten the trippy atmosphere and help even further to blur the line between vision and reality within the game. Also, it's worth mentioning that some of the enemy encounter pieces used manually tuned recordings of dentist drills in the songs to make them more savage and terrifying. And this was obviously done in great reason, because then it froze up any person who dared to pick up the game. Fucking awesome. Shit is about to get real now, people. Picking between Final Fantasy VII and IX soundtracks were close to impossible here, because despite my dislike for most of the games in the series that I have demonstrated more than once on this channel, one thing I really do like about them is the fucking music. I don't really think I need to explain the subtle beauty and grand style of pretty much any of the pieces from, well, any Final Fantasy game, because it's been fantastic since day one. But for the PS1, I may have to go with Final Fantasy VII soundtrack because of how timeless it is. Yeah, I may not like you so much, Final Fantasy, but hot damn, you've got some fantastic fucking music. Number 6 goes to Klonoa. Klonoa? Not only is this one of my favorite PS1 games ever made, but the music is also simply marvelous. This soundtrack is like a long journey through life. It begins like an innocent child absorbing its surroundings and eager for adventure. Then it comes down into the slightly older ages of discovering the world's mysteries, finding out your fears, and questioning the unknown in the world. And then it comes down to the even older moments of life with intense confrontation and true tests to your own strengths and beliefs. It's an extremely emotional soundtrack, and it should be, because behind this disarmingly adorable appearance lies a game with an extremely heart-wrenching ending and very heavy themes thrown into the story. And what's great is the way that those themes in the story are expressed not only through the gameplay and the visuals, but the soundtrack as well. Beautiful stuff. Oh my god, you know what I hate? I hate it when I think a game is extremely mediocre and just okay, but then it has to go ahead and eventually win me over with an awesome fucking soundtrack. And Croc is a game that does that to me. The way this soundtrack takes so many compositional elements and ostinatos from the simple overworld themes and then switches them up to pack a deeply emotional and characterized punch in every single stage absolutely gobsmacks me. This is a true testament to how many variations of a reoccurring theme you can throw at a listener, and yet still somehow manage to keep each variation completely distinct and memorable. And not to mention, this is also one of the more gentle and wholly reflective soundtracks on this list as well, not only remaining to keep the game cute, but also sometimes to keep it very sentimental and actually touching. It's a beautifully delicate, yet energetically funky blessing on an otherwise okay game. Number 4 is a soundtrack that is just downright fucking kick-ass. I have no other word. Ass. And god damn it, more people should talk about this game too, because it's really fucking good. Toy Story 2 is a soundtrack with not a single unforgettable and samey, boring track on it. Even if a stage you encounter within the game has a similar visual style or theme to another one, the music that accompanies each stage is entirely different and extremely well made in its own right, which, for a movie licensed game, is really something to behold. So many different musical genres, from country and western to epic movie scores, are all covered here, and they're all completely nailed. And much like A Bug's Life, this music manages to create the most epic adventure out of the stages which would normally be very boring to you and me, which is what a game about playing Buzz Lightyear should feel like. How do you feel about playing a stage in a platform where you're just running around a normal, average American family suburban home? No? While the music makes it the most fucking exciting thing ever, I mean, the gameplay is top-notch and it does help with that as well, but the music is the main selling point to me. It also manages to take some musical ideas that would ordinarily sound extremely stockish and bland, but then it adds in enough of its own distinct instrumental, acoustic, digital, orchestral quirks to truly make each stage an absolute blast to play. It can be dark, it can be bright, it can be grand, it can be threatening, and most importantly, it never loses its charm from start to end. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe it's because I've been a drummer for about 7 years of my life and I really fucking admire Stuart Copeland's drumming and composition skills. Maybe it's because I played all 3 of these games inside and out as a kid to a point of nearly knowing everything. Or maybe, just maybe, it's actually because this soundtrack is really fucking great. Spyro 1's soundtrack was extremely ambient and atmospheric, but in my opinion, not the most memorable. Spyro 2's soundtrack was choppier, more experimental, more grounded, and fantastic. Yet, in my opinion, many of the tracks still sounded far too similar to truly stand out. Spyro 3, on the other hand, takes everything great about both game soundtracks and Copeland's compositional evolution and combines it into the perfect Spyro soundtrack. This is a soundtrack that makes everything from the hub worlds to the boss battles carry so much fucking weight to the point of them feeling equally important and equally fun and equally exciting in the whole damn game. And it really did showcase the highest point of Copeland's video game composing, because he went much crazier and much more prominent with his drumming patterns and time signatures with this game, as well as compose some of the greatest bass lines ever written in a video game and create one of the most instrumentally complex and catchy platform game soundtracks of all fucking time. I mean, think about it, if a song in the game is played at 7/8 time signature and you don't even realize it, the track is doing something right. To even consider not being able to play every single track for you in this game feels like a crime. It's that good. Number 2 is a legend. Is Crash Bandicoot 2's soundtrack as complex, emotional, thought-provoking, or crazy as the other soundtracks preceding it? Well, no. But that's because Crash Bandicoot 2's soundtrack is one that really sounds like it does not give a shit and simply does its own unique and damn incredible thing. How on earth do you build music around an anthropomorphic Bandicoot, as well as increase the production values and truly leave an insane impact for the sequel to PlayStation's biggest mascot at the time? Well, I don't fucking know, but Josh Mansell found a way, and his unparalleled musical style was at its peak with this epic soundtrack. Sure, Crash 3 was fantastic also, but Crash 2 signified the uprising of the Bandicoot and the uprising of Mansell's composing abilities. Crash was in the big leagues now, and this music backed him up to stardom in every single regard. It wasn't anything too hard on the ears or too mind-blowing, but it was the cool kid of PS1 music. It didn't fucking need to be anything more than it was. It just rocked the fuck out with its fantastic melodies sprung around sewer diving, polar bear riding, future speeding, temple toppling, swamp swimming, woodland running, and boss kicking. As soon as you played through each stage of this game even once, you can name every single stage that this soundtrack goes along with within the first second that the songs begin. And it's one of the few instances in a game where I genuinely looked forward to starting yet another repeated level with a recurring theme, just so that I could take in the utterly joyous soundtrack along with it. It's exciting, it's cool, it never ever gets old no matter how many times you hear it, and it's one of the most deeply characterized and audio perfect representations of what you actually see going on within the game I have ever seen. Just like, for example, in the way that Rocket, a level about donning a jetpack through space, begins floaty and awe-inspiring, and then very gradually speeds up and intensifies to signify the takeoff, and then finally comes to a stupendous chorus to show the perilous, unstable, and fast-paced rocket exploration that you're undergoing. And hell, the music even made the tiny tiger boss level scary. The music did that on its own. It's just pure ecstasy. I can't think of anything else to say. Well, at least in my opinion anyway. Symphony of the fucking Night. That's not the name of the game, I was just saying a swear. Do I need to explain why this made #1? No, I don't think I do. It's got symphony in the damn title. Of course the music will be good apart from that. Everything about this soundtrack is just perfect. There isn't a single thing I can say against it. Every single solitary musical score complements the gameplay perfectly, whether or not you're stuck in a badass boss battle or exploring a crumbling and decomposing tower. Every mood, every emotion, every single potential thing in this game that it wants you to feel or do is illustrated beautifully in this golden crispy slice of audio goodness. It's so captivating that turning this game off feels like a sin, because the music stops. It complements every character and the events that they go through absolutely perfectly, almost feeling like the backing track to the most badass and arduous audiobook out there. And it even gives you feelings towards people that sound like this.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets! But enough talk! How about you?
Gotta say, that's impressive. If there was ever a soundtrack to not only demonstrate the power and majesty of the game, but the power and majesty of the PlayStation itself, this, in my opinion, is most indeed it. And I can tell you, this will never leave your head. Ever. And there you have it, everybody, my top 10 favourite personal, as in mine, so not everybody's. Can people not fucking get that? Favourite PS1 soundtracks ever made. I really do hope you enjoyed this video series if you stayed from part 1, in which case if you did stay from part 1, congratulations and thank you so much for joining me. And like I just said, this is only my personal favourite list, so please disagree with me, agree with me, share your personal favourite, make yourself a top 20 list and get the comments flowing with that stuff because that would be awesome and I'd love to see what everyone else thinks. And just like in the last part of this video, the soundtracks that you heard today are going to be in the description, as in I'm going to link YouTube playlists to the soundtracks so you can hear them all for yourselves because some of these games don't have OSTs, so it kind of needs to be done, I suppose. But they're going to be in alphabetical order, so you can't go to the description to cheat to see which ones come in a certain order so that you don't have to watch the video. So. But until next time, if it's your birthday today or watching this video, then happy frickin' birthday to you. Please remember to stay beautiful, and just to end on a question, can you connect the beans to spell out the breakfast items? Can you? And after that, hello again everybody, and thank you so much for watching my top 20 favourite PS1 game soundtracks. If you want to have follow me on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or anything like that, it's all gonna be in the description, so go and have a look down there. And before I go, I just want to give a huge thank you to the top donators on my Patreon page, because you guys have been showing me incredible support over the last couple of weeks. So I just want to give a shout out to Nicole Ganara, Harry Gaynor, Tony Pierce, Mohammed Al-Sali, Ivan Strand, James Newman, Greg Black, Abdullah Almana, Nick Marchenko, a YouTuber called Darkest Side of Me 101, Benjamin Peasley, Ahmed Al-Mutawa, Alan Anger, Delmar Mullins, Kylie McKinnon, Andrew Hernandez, and Christopher Miller. You guys, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for all the incredible support you show me, and thank every one of you at home for watching this video. You have been amazing in your own right, and none of this would have happened without anybody, so thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me, and get ready for part 2 in a few days, guys. Hope to see you next time. See you later.